Today we're going to have a look and see what the best alternative is for an MDF workbench top. So if you've seen any of my videos before, you're going to know how much I love using MDF in the workshop. I use it for jigs, I use it for sleds, I use it for, well, everything really, but one of my main uses is for workbench tops. I love it because it's really dense, it's solid, it's flat, and it machines beautifully. Now, I know a lot of you guys in the States hate it. Apparently you don't get as nice MDF over there as what we do over here. So, what are the alternatives then? Because I also spoke to somebody this week who was saying that a sheet of 18mm MDF at the moment is running about 60 bucks. So, about £40, £45, which is about what it is here at the moment. Sadly, it used to be about like 20. I used to be able to get a sheet of 18mm for about £20, £18. But anyway, so what are the cheaper alternatives? Because obviously if you're going to double that up, 120 bucks for a workbench top, not really that inexpensive, is it? Now, one thing he did recommend to me was he asked and said if he could use OSB with a hardboard top. So what I've done is I've got 4 different materials here, 5 if you include the MDF, and a couple of toppers here, which is what I would probably look to do if I was trying to save a bit of money. Now, for you guys in the States, I had a quick look on Home Depot, and OSB seems to be the cheapest sheet good that you can probably buy at the moment. I think a sheet of 18mm, which is 3/4 inch, is around about $38, $35 from Home Depot, so quite cheap really. So this seems for you really a good option. Now, is it as heavy as the MDF? No. Is it far off? No. Is it worth worrying about? I don't think so. I think for the amount of money that you're going to save by going for OSB as opposed to going for the MDF, when you're doubling it up, I think it's going to be well worth it. There are other options, obviously. There's things like chipboard. Chipboard, I am a little bit of a fan of it. I don't particularly like it when it's melamine faced. I know a lot of people use it. I'm not a huge fan of the melamine. If you've looked at any of my videos, my concern is once it gets dented, then it's trash. But it is very heavy and it is relatively cheap compared to a lot of other materials. So if you want to get, say, a couple of sheets of it and double it up, man, that thing would be heavy, right? That thing's going to be dense. It's certainly not going to move. I think my concern would be how strong is the workbench that you built, right? And how well supported is it? Because that's the other thing, right? Is with OSB, 600mm supports on this, absolutely fine. Chipboard, yeah, I don't know, you may be able, with 22mm chipboard, you should be able to get away with a 600mm spacing, I think. I'm sure it's 22mm. So if you took 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, doubled it up, then yeah, 600mm spacing on your supports and you should be golden. Obviously, we have super cheap pine plywood. That's called CDX or shuttering ply in the UK. This is relatively cheap, but it's not a bad option. I do use it a fair bit. My cabinets over here, they're all made out of the CDX plywood. The frame for this workbench is made out of CDX. And I'll tell you what, man, this thing's a beast. You should watch the video. It's probably not the greatest quality, it's a few years old, but I've put well over 300 kilos on this and put my pallet lift underneath and lift the entire table up. So that's 300 kilos plus the weight of the table and the top, the double thickness MDF top, and it's not had a problem with it. This is really good quality stuff, and there's different grades I think, but the one that I use is a structural grade. Then you've got the cheap rubbish Chinese ply. I'm not a huge fan of this, if I'm honest with you. I guess it does have its place. For something like this, I think it'd work perfectly fine. I think it worked just as well as the CDX or the OSB or the chipboard, probably better than the chipboard to be fair, because you're going to get this is going to be stronger. So yeah, so I do think it is a good option. Probably not something that I would go for unless I really needed to. Ultimately, if you're trying to save money, then I don't see why you wouldn't use it, especially if you're going to put a topper on it, and even more so if you're going to double thickness it, right? So should we have a look at the toppers then? So I've got a couple of different tops here. So this is 9mm, which is 3/8 inch MDF. Again, I've got stacks of this in offcuts over there that I've had for 4 or 5 years now. I'm gradually working my way through. I think it's a great material. It's not going to have the weight that the 18mm is going to have, the 3/4 inch, because it's only half the thickness. But in reality, when you start chopping the boards off with it, I think it's going to work pretty darn well. Being 3/8 or 9mm, it does have some sort of thickness in there for you to be able to screw it from the bottom. I did an MDF laminating video, which might be worth a look for you. So yeah, so I think this is a great option. If you're trying to save money, maybe it's not going to be the best for you. This is another great option. This is hardboard. It is smooth, like super slippy smooth. It's really cheap. I used to be able to get a sheet of this for like £5 or £6. I think maybe it's like £10, £12 now, but yeah, so it's really this is the stuff with the waffle type finish on the back, and then a nice super smooth finish on the front. Now, the only issue that you're going to have with this, the reason that I love these is I glue everything together and I pop some screws in there and it holds it all and it's a single piece. And then when I'm finished with it, or I've had enough of it, I can just take it off, flip it over and put it down. Obviously, if we take this off, flip it over and put it down, we're going to have a different finish on the bottom, right? So at that point, you either stick another piece of hardboard on, and if it's only like £10, I don't see why you wouldn't do, or you sit with your plywood. But yeah, personally, I go with the hardboard. So what is the best option if money isn't an issue? So for me, that would be the double thickness 18mm or 3/4 inch MDF. I would probably look to finish that with a coat of Danish oil. This one hasn't been finished. This has been here now for 2 years, I think. That workbench I've got over there has been around for about 8 years, I think. And that's still awesome. I mean, it's a mess, but it's a workbench, right? So, if you want to save money though, what is a super cheap option? It's going to be a mixture of these. I think obviously hardboard is going to be the cheapest option. For you guys in the States, it's probably going to be some OSB and hardboard. Do you need it to be double thickness if you're trying to save money? No, you don't. I have double thickness because I want to... That's a beast. Well, I mean, it's got a fair bit on it, but it is a beast, right? I've got the double thickness in there because I'm forever hammering on it, smashing it. And it's a workbench, it's just there to get hammered and smashed about, right? It's not, I'm not building something super pretty here. So if you're saving money, any sort of combination of these, but I think especially for you guys in the States, this one's going to be the best one for you. You can also get away with some chipboard on there, but again, I'd make sure that you're supporting that correctly, or you're thickening it up and laminating it, because that's going to be really important. Or your super cheap pine plywood. I think, again, that's a great option. You don't necessarily have to go for the MDF. I personally, like I said, love the MDF. I think it's great. And over here, it is relatively cheap compared to all of these materials. And so that's why it's the best option for us. But again, if this is all you've got, and that's what you can afford, then that's what you go for, right? Because the most important thing is that you get working. Is that you're doing your woodworking, you're doing your carpentry, you're doing your joinery. That's what's important. These workbenches here, they're not here to look pretty. They're here to be used, man. That's what's so important about it. And look, if you want to spend hours and hours and days and days and days building a workbench that looks absolutely beautiful, that's awesome. However, if I'm working on the truck outside and I need to bash a bearing out, or I need to like remove something, it's going to be on this workbench. And the thing's going to get covered in grease, and then I'll have to sand it, maybe I'll flip the top. I don't care. I've got paint here, right? Because I spilled some paint on it. I don't care. That one is absolutely covered in paint. But I don't care, because for me, the workbench isn't about making something that's super beautiful. It's about making something that's really practical. And so, I don't really care whether it was made from OSB with a sheet of hardboard on it, or it's double thickness or whatever. I just want it to work when I need it to work. So in conclusion then, what is the best alternative to a double thickness MDF workbench top? It's whatever you can afford, right? But I'll add a caveat onto that. In my opinion, the best thing for you to do with whatever material you choose is to either add a sheet of thin MDF onto the top of it, or a sheet of hardboard on there, and then seal that. Yeah, that's really what I would do. Regardless of whatever the base material is that you're using, that you're going to add the extra weight and rigidity in there, because ultimately that's what these are for, right? Is they're just to add extra weight, extra density, extra mass into that workbench. And when you start hammering, knocking stuff, sawing on it, drilling on it, whatever, it doesn't move around, because then you're going to be in a bit of trouble, because that gets quite dangerous as well. So when you pick your base material, which for a lot of us will be the cheapest option, the most important thing that you're going to find is getting that topper on there, right? That's what's going to make the workbench last a long time. And you know what? Even if you do glue that down and you wreck it and you don't want to flip the table over, I've no doubt you could knock this off, peel it all back, and stick another unit on, and you'd be absolutely fine. All right. Hope that helps. Hope that's cleared up some questions. If you do have any questions, by all means drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. I do try to reply to every single comment I have, so by all means drop them down below. If you've got any ideas of videos that you'd like me to do, just drop them in the comments below, and I'll do what I can for you guys. All right, and like I said, I hope that's helped. I hope you all have an awesome day. You take it easy, and I shall catch you on the next one. All right.